The Uber versus Lyft thing is an interesting one because they definitely went through a couple year period of this like back and forth, product narrative in the similar way that it feels like, Google and OpenAI and similar kind of personas too. Like Uber took on the pioneer aggressive type of persona and Lyft took on the friendly persona as well. So I hadn't thought about that, but there was definitely that 2 year period where it felt like each one of them was launching, something every couple of months. So yeah.
Yeah, this is where like roles come in to play a lot with product marketing. So Mary and I, actually in the Reforge course, we talk about this idea of like archetypes that you have as a company. And there's like 4 really common ones. One is you're the market leader. So you're dominant, right? Salesforce in a CRM space. Another archetype is you're the challenger brand. So you're the one that's coming for the leader. And all of your positioning is about being in contrast to them and their weak spots. A third is you're like the crowd favorite. So, we're like that market leader, but we're for you. We understand you. It's very like audience-based positioning. Good example is any of the project management tools that were specific to like industries or to a particular role. And then the fourth one that is not as common, but it's the sort of like category creator of, hey, there's nobody in this field right now because it's a brand new field. And each of them have like strengths and the things that make them the desirable position to be. And each of them have things that make them undesirable, right? Like, I actually think it sucks to be the market leader because your whole world is just defense at that point. So I actually think that can be the hardest one. Challenger brand is fun because you just get to like throw stones. But then the downside of that is that like your whole positioning is built up on what you're not, and so on and so forth. Like, but I think back to the original question on like first mover or not, like I think you can be the second mover, but you can't come to market in the same way that the first mover came to market. You've got to be a different role. And so that's kind of how or the advice I'd dole out on that.
I think it's a good point that being the market leader has some undesirable, probably it feels like you're on like this treadmill where you're like sprinting and you're just trying not to fall off of it. Like that's what I have in my head. I'm interested, like, if you could continue that thread of what the positive and undesirable traits of the other two are. The third category, I can't remember what the exact words you were, like the audio.
Yeah, favorite, like an audience specific.
Like in the email space, we saw that, right? Like, ConvertKit was like our email marketing for creators, right? I feel like that definitely played out in a mature space as well.
Yeah, that's a great example. Yeah, I mean, I think the upside of that is it allows you to really own an audience in a corner of a market in a way that is easier to do than if you're going after a broader space, right? And you can make all of your marketing about that person or that like persona that you're going after. So it's really, it's fun marketing because it's like, hey, we understand you. We're like, it's about them, not the product, right? Which is always the better, more human kind of way to market. I think the downside of that is it's inherently like smaller, right? And so that when you're inbound marketing and then you go to add inbound sales, it can make that like next audience tougher if you've done a really good job with the first one.
Yeah, Halligan's talked about this is like they have all these products now, the CRM's at the forefront, but everybody still thinks about them as a marketing automation company. It's like the dominant thing.
Yeah. What's up? Yeah, and like I just remember a moment when people were like, "Stop trying to make inbound sales happen. Inbound sales are not going to happen. Like it's not a thing." And then we pivoted, and we learned from it, and we had to become like you to take on a new archetype and like become more of the market leader, the challenger brand, and that. And then the final one is a category creator, and I think the reason everybody loves that is because everyone wants to be like this special
snowflake,
fresh fallen snow. Yeah, like. Everybody wants to be like, oh, I don't even need to worry about them because I'm making my own category. The downside is it's really fucking hard. You're building the category before you're marketing your product, and it can take a decade. And I think fewer categories actually need to be made than there are people who think they're category creators.